Now, there are 300 million accounts on this game. It is the largest consistently updated MMO out there. Don't take my word for it. That is the Guinness World Book of Records that have said that. It has been around in one form or another since 2001. And so PressX has come behind the scenes to meet the team to talk about the next 25 years. Talking about RuneScape, just in case you didn't pick up on that, by the way.
On today's special episode, we're at Jagex HQ with James Dobrowski, Senior Vice President of Product, to hear more about making the MMO that stood the test of time.
Because when I read your title, I knew we were coming to chat to you, James, like, that basically means you're in charge of all of the RuneScape products, basically.
Yeah, that's great.
That's quite a big job, isn't it?
We've got quite an elegant split between myself and Kevin, who's our COO, where essentially I look after everything game-related and in-game. He looks after everything else. So the launch of the website, the platform that the games sit on, that'll sit with Kevin. I make sure the games get made.
Yeah. And when it comes to like a big anniversary like this, and there's so much to talk about, how do you approach that then? Because obviously you got more eyeballs on it because people love an anniversary, don't they? But at the same token, you guys have been putting things out for years anyway. So does anything change really? Yeah,
it changed a lot. In some ways, it's a bit serendipity. We were. I joined Jagex last January. Yeah. So I've been here a year now. But throughout the early part of last year, regardless of the 25th anniversary, we wanted a huge year. There was a lot we've been planning for our 3 games. And I think it's fair to say that, even without the anniversary, 2026 is set out to be our biggest year ever as a company. 2025 was our biggest year. 2026 is going to be bigger. But because it's our 25th anniversary, we want to scream and shout even louder about all of the things that we are doing. And that's both in-game and out of game. As you've probably seen today, we're running an extra live event in the United States for the first time ever. And our existing live events are bigger than they've ever been before. That, coupled with tons of other stuff, is more to scream and shout about the cool stuff we're kind of doing anyway. Yeah. It just allows us to have a bit of a bigger party.
And I was interested in sort of spending the day here today and getting a bit of a sense of that roadmap for this year. Is that the companies, you see lots of companies in this position that have got a really successful thing, they start looking at other opportunities or new intellectual property or branching and trying stuff. Yeah. But actually here's the exact opposite, right? You're kind of doubling down on, no, we make RuneScape, we make old school RuneScape, we've got the different version of it in early access. And that's what we do, thank you very much.
100%, yeah. So if we look back over Jagex history, I think we've done all of those things. We've taken the success of RuneScape, and the company has tried new products, new platforms, new IPs, many of which have never seen the light of day, some of which that have seen the light of day and then fizzled out. We made the conscious decision last year that third-party publishing, looking after external development of other people's IP and other products, working on other IP at Jagex was off the table. We were going to really focus down on the RuneScape franchise and the RuneScape franchise only. And there was a few reasons for that. Big one was to serve our community in the best way we possibly could. We've got a big, thriving community. We work very, very closely with them. And really, every time we went to do something else, we were losing focus on that core. And there's still a lot we can do with that community. There's a huge opportunity for growing the franchise, growing the individual products, growing the community. And secondly, very interlinked, is focus. Yeah. As a company, we wanted to focus on doing a smaller number of things incredibly well and maximizing the quality of the things we were doing there, as opposed to spreading ourselves too thin and chasing a ton of different opportunities.
And I suppose being able to do that, you have to have a product that people want to spend time with, want to play. And clearly, with all the records that RuneScape's broken, the amount of number of players and concurrent players last year and all that stuff, clearly people want more of it. What do you put that down to? What do you put down the 25 years down to? How is it still going?
Yeah.
Frankly, in such a competitive space with so much other people vying for people's attention.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think at the heart of it, there is a kind of a game world, a universe, a franchise, an IP that is incredibly welcoming. It's incredibly timeless. But really, I think over the last few years, there's been a huge amount of, I don't want to use the word nostalgia because I don't think it's nostalgia anymore, but a huge amount of desire from game communities to find a home for their game time that has a very welcoming group of players they can interact with, that doesn't lean into FOMO or loss of progression, which is very, very common in a lot of other games out there, and increasingly so over recent years.
Especially in your genre, right, where it's living online and you're not sort of getting people just to come in and do meaningless tasks every day, that sort of stuff.
Exactly. I think that's one of the reasons why our players have stuck around for a long time. Even if they leave, they eventually come back and kind of re-engage with RuneScape.
You never quit RuneScape, right? Just take a break.
I think there were probably, way back when RuneScape launched, there were a few other games of our ilk. Nowadays, there are very few left that carry the same sense of community, that carry the same set of kind of, in some ways, low pressure, grind style gameplay that you can just log in, you can engage with, you can progress. And that progression is meaningful. If you disappear for 2 years and you come back, it's still meaningful. You can just pick up your journey and carry on. There are very few games that present a home to you like RuneScape does. But I think one of the biggest components, and it's something I've followed throughout my career. I used to work at CCP on EVE Online. I've worked on new MMOs from the ground up. The primary reason in my eyes that RuneScape has been so successful for so long is the very, very tight interaction between Jagex, the developers, and the RuneScape community. I'd say more than I've ever seen at any other games company, the developers here are players and have been players, many of them since the early days of RuneScape. And there's this incredibly tight interaction on a day-to-day basis between the people that make the game and the people that play that game. And you've seen that today here.
And you see that as always a positive, because sometimes people argue actually that sometimes if you can't see the wood for the trees because you're too in it, you need a bit of outward perspective. But you're arguing, no, actually, you need that passion, that connection.
I 100% think so. It's been an interesting journey for me in this last year, where I see my job in some ways, and I think this is true of Jagex, less as game developers in some ways. And it feels more like we are running kind of a city in some ways. This thing has existed for a long time. It will continue to exist for a long time. Our players have things they're really happy about and things that they are upset about. We will introduce things in the future that resonate or don't resonate. And we need to continue to listen to the people that play our games, understand what's ticking for them, what's not ticking for them, and work really closely with them to develop the community, the world that they want to exist in.
Yeah.
So I very much now see as more like caretakers of this community as opposed to game makers, if that makes sense. And it's integral that we listen to kind of what our players want. And actually Jagex, I think, has been doing that for 20 plus years.
Right.
And that is the primary reason why our players stick around for the long term.
And is that why, and just noticed today and the stuff that will be coming out over the coming weeks, is the word integrity seems to have been sort of at the heart of it, right? When it comes to, I suppose, people's time, because games like yours can be a time sort of drain, I suppose, in a good or a bad way, and financially as well with monetization. Was that a big conversation to have in terms of using, because it's quite a big word, isn't it? Integrity. It can be seen as if you have to talk about that, it could be a negative thing, but it's not coming across that way.
Well, we've learned a lot. I think there's a few reasons we've gone down that path. We've learned a lot both from our own mistakes and some of the mistakes the industry as a whole is making. So old school was in many ways birthed out of decisions made on RuneScape to go in a certain direction, a bunch of the player base being really uncomfortable with that direction, old school being spun up at the time as a bit of a small side project to keep those people satisfied. Yeah. And it has become a huge game within the kind of MMORPG space. And in some ways, a lesson for us there has been the most successful product we've ever developed, and the one that is growing quickly, we saw huge growth in the game last year, is the one that's staying true to the tenets of 15 years ago. And RuneScape itself, in many ways, we feel has lost its way as it's followed the feature design, the game design of some of our competitors as they've seen success. So we've chased some of the things that lead to commercial success that have been successful elsewhere.
Yeah. Is that like things like buying stuff in the game and that sort of
Exactly.
that
I mean,
that sort of thing?
you'll have seen today that something that's happening on Monday is the removal of Treasure Hunter, which was the introduction of a monetization system which has worked and is incredibly successful in other types of game. And in many ways, it has been successful for us if you look purely through the financial lens.
Just so the cash metrics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what we've seen over time is as we've made more and more of those steps, the RuneScape community has struggled, and the old school community that stayed true to those original tenets of say, more old-fashioned gameplay experience has thrived.
Yeah.
So we've been increasing.
It does make me feel old though when 2007 is old, isn't it? But there we are.
Yeah,
I take your point.
I mean, I've been playing MMOs now since the early days of Ultima Online and RuneScape. So yeah, I'm definitely feeling like an old man in all conversations regarding MMOs these days. But also when I look at our competitors, I think many of our competitors have chased similar trends to the ones we've chased. And it's led to an increasing amount of dissatisfaction with those games, with those experiences, not just within the MMORPG audience, but we now know that the MMORPG audience as a whole is shrinking. Those people are going elsewhere. I think partly because MMOs, which used to be these safe havens that you could play for years and years, are becoming increasingly aggressive on monetization, increasingly aggressive with using your time. They do use fear of missing out mechanics. There is a case where you play a game, now you disappear for a year and you come back, you will not be able to pick up where you left off, and you almost need to relearn everything and get on a new progression journey. All of these things, I think, are game design loops intended to keep you hooked and make you not go anywhere else. But what we're actually seeing is that's leading to a dissatisfaction of people leaving those products. And so for the RuneScape franchise, a big commitment from us across all of our games is that we're not going to follow those trends. We are going to do right by our community. We are going to look at how do you monetize in an ethical way? How do you make sure progression is meaningful for the long term? How do we get away from FOMO mechanics? How do we learn a lot from what's made old school so special and apply it across our other games as well?
Hello, this is Steffan back at PressX HQ, just butting in for a second before we go back to our conversation with James. Just a little reminder that you can get involved in the PressX community and you can share your thoughts on whatever you hear on the podcast, including this very episode. You just join our Discord channel. You do that by finding the link. You could probably Google it, or if you find us on social media, then there are links there as well. We have PressX Podcast on TikTok and PressX Pod on Instagram. Find us there. Comment when you see these videos go up. Also, there's a link into the Discord. Find that link, get involved in the conversation. We'd love to hear from you, whether you're big into RuneScape, whether you've played and dropped off, whether you've never played before and actually this conversation is inspiring you to give it a go. Let us know what you think of the franchise and its future direction of travel. We would love to hear from you. So the way this worked, right, producer Owen and myself spent the day at Jagex with some lovely journalists and some RuneScape content creators as well, who were there for the day to get a sense from the creators of the game what's happening, what's coming in 2026. And so we listened to top bosses talk us through the plans. We listened to the game's developers as well come in and also show off what they've got coming on RuneScape over the next 12 months. And also just how candid they were and have been publicly, and I think James does it a bit in our interview as well, just how candid the team have been about what's been going right with the game, but also what's been going wrong with the game and how they want to fix some of those changes, fix some of those problems maybe, and sort of maximize some of the things they think is going right in the next 12 months. So it's definitely an interesting time ahead for RuneScape players, new and old, long-standing, or people who are fresh into the title, because it is a tricky time for MMOs, isn't it? Let's not beat around the bush. The golden days perhaps of that genre may be behind us, so it's going to be interesting to see if these changes that are coming for RuneScape mean that it continues to buck the trend of MMOs and continues to keep going from strength to strength, or whether, like the rest of the genre, it might fade over time. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens. Right then, that's gazing ahead to the future. Let's go gazing to a slightly more near future, which is let's go back to our conversation with James.
Interestingly there, you know, saying about sort of listening to what fans have been telling you and this sort of change in the sort of reaction to some of the other game mechanics out there, do you think that's because is your audience base older? Is it because they're just more savvy? Because just people have grown up, things have changed?
Yeah.
Or did we get it wrong? Games companies get it wrong 5-6 years ago when they started introducing these mechanics? What do you put it down to?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I've been surprised. When I joined Jagex, I was surprised at our demographic. I had a theory, for example, that the old school player base would be the older part of our audience, because it's in many ways an older game. Not true at all. The old school audience actually skews younger than the audience that play
That's so interesting,
RuneScape.
isn't it?
And that was a huge surprise to me. Yeah. And I think that's because a lot of the people who started RuneScape years ago have journeyed through with the existing RuneScape game. Old school is starting, I think, to sing to many people who didn't play those older school MMOs. They haven't seen it before. They've played a lot of other kind of game experiences, some of our competitors, and they felt they've played, they've churned out. There's something about it that's not sticking. They're not finding that forever home for themselves.
Yeah.
And then as I think our popularity on things like Reddit have grown, they've stumbled across old school and found this, in many ways, kind of old school experience that harks back to years ago. But they're not playing it for nostalgia. They've never played these experiences before, and they're finding something for them that's unique. I think for us longer in the tooth MMO players, if we play old school now, it feels like we're going back in time and refinding something that we used to love, something that's cozy, that's been lost in modern MMOs. So I've learned a lot and it surprised me a lot from who's playing our game, the demographic of those players. So, but I don't think it's to do with older players enjoying our game. I think we do have older players playing our game, but it's more younger players discovering something that to them is new and refreshing.
So a couple just to finish off then, James, is your plan over the next 12 months to sort of deepen the work that you're doing with the community of players you already have, to expand it, to introduce yourself to new players? Because often people say, we're going to try and do both. And that's hard to do, isn't it? Is there a focus?
Yeah, there is a focus at the franchise level and on an individual product level. So old school, we want to keep giving our fans what they love. If we look at the roadmap for 2026, it just contains more of the good stuff that they've been looking for a very long time. We are including, I think, 3 of the most sought after features or types of feature all within 1 year. Usually we release 1 year, we're doing 3 next year. So just more of what the players want, and keep listening to them about what they want in the future and continue to deliver on that. RuneScape, you'll have heard a lot about this integrity play. It's what a lot of what we've talked about today. We want to go back to our roots, re-find what brought magic to that game, and then regrow from there. But again, looking at our existing audience, our lapsed audience, and then anybody else who wants to come along and join this journey. Dragon Wilds, I'd say, is a little bit different because it's the first time in a long time we've released a RuneScape game with that level of graphical fidelity that is starting to, I think, be an experience that could catch a lot of new players who might look at old school and RuneScape and say, they look a bit dated. This could be their segue into the RuneScape franchise, and then I hope they propagate across the other games as well. Longer term, we are definitely looking at growth, but that growth, I think, will largely come from how do we enter new territories, how do we introduce new languages to the game. Old school, interestingly, is only in English. So there's quite a simple, big opportunity when it comes to growth there. But really, focus is double down on what our community love, give them more of it. And I think our community will naturally grow as our current community continues to fall in love with what we want to do longer term.
James, well, listen, my last one just from you, it's been fascinating chatting to you. Thank you very much. Obviously, you're in charge of product, which is, like we said at the start, it's a big title. We're seeing brands and IPs like this start to reach out to other types of media. Is that something that's a conversation that you can have here? I was just thinking in there, while I was listening to some of the presentations today and looking at the imagery, I was thinking, Arcane's done so well on Netflix because, with the League of Legends tie-in, and we see so many, games and movies crossing over, and TV shows is all part of the same bit, isn't it? And I wondered if that's something that the conversation is being had about those sorts of things.
It's a conversation we're having constantly. It's not something we have a big plan around at the moment, other than it's something that we think it would be very, very cool to explore. We would love to do something. But if we do something, We want to do it in the right way that, again, serves our community, that gives them what they want to see and what they want to love. We would love to hear ideas, thoughts, pictures, and we're still very much in that. Like, we'd love to do something. We haven't worked out what it is yet. If you've got an idea, come talk to us.
Oh, there's an opportunity for someone there, isn't it?
Yeah, for
James,
sure.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for coming up and chatting with us. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that is it for this special episode of Press X to Continue. Did you like it? Did you have fun? Drop us a comment below or find us on the Discord channel, find us on social media, Press X Pod, Press X Podcast. Comment, let us know, do you want more of these style episodes from us? Because we can do more if you fancy it. Normal service is going to be resumed next Tuesday, by the way. But if you fancy a bit more of these in-depth looks, then let us know. We can try our best to do more for you because we are here to service you, the Continue Clubber, the Exy Beast. Mega thanks again to Jagex for having us down, for opening their doors and for being so welcoming with us. We really appreciate it. And it was lovely to see. I wish you loyal Press Xers could have been there to see the big smile on producer Owen's face, who's been playing RuneScape for years, as he got the keys to the castle for the day. It was lovely to see. Right, we'll be back, like I said, next Tuesday. Thank you very much for being with us. We will see you very soon.